Good morning. Hi, everyone.
Um,
We are excited about this class. It is a deep dive into a topic we talk about a lot, buckets, your buckets, but we're specifically going to be focusing on specific or couple today. And let's just get started. And the class is called, oh goodness, don't forget your work bucket. So this is for personal and business brand marketing. It's very important. Like I said, we talk about this a lot. I like to say this is Angelin's baby because she presents this at all kinds of meetings all the time. And we do these things called social audits. And the first thing we do is think about the person we're talking to and their buckets. And then we look at their social media and we can see which bucket they're missing, which bucket of information is missing. And we decided to start with the work buckets with y'all because we think this is one of the most important ones on your feed that sometimes gets jumbled up. So we're going to untangle that mess. What's the difference between business and personal brands? I'm going to let Angelin take over on here.
Oh, okay, sure. And let me just say, the reason we talk about buckets in the first place is it's the best way to kind of untangle complicated ideas. When you're like, I don't even know what to post about. Well, this sort of helps you come up with an organization, a plan of your content. So it's just really a way to get yourself organized. So think of it that way. All right, the difference between business and a personal brand. Okay, let's say a business brand is really something that has a different name than you. It is a separate entity from you. Think of it this way. If you could actually sell that business and someone else could run it and they may not even really know, maybe, you would be off the feed, but somebody else would be there, but the business stands alone. That is a business brand. Maybe you have a staff, maybe you have a team, but most likely it's going to be a totally separate name from you. You've created an LLC, that kind of thing. A personal brand is where you are the thing is you. So let me give you an example. Maybe you're a realtor where you could work for Keller Williams today, but maybe a year from now you go to work for a different broker, a Coldwell Banker. Well, you haven't changed. You're still the realtor. You're the personal brand. Or a hairstylist or a photographer, or you work in direct sales. All those types of businesses, you are the personal brand. So here's a couple of examples. We have Next Chapter Social, which is Brooklyn and mine's business brand. I also have a direct sales business, but my personal Instagram is Angelin Style. I don't even say the name of my brand that I represent in there because what if I changed? What if I have changed once before in my past, but the point is I'm still a jewelry stylist. Okay. So I could change companies and I'm still my own brand. It's really important that you kind of learn to delineate that so that you are always this thing. You don't want to be Angelin Harrell Park Lane stylist. Like you don't want to be so associated with it that if you make a change, it doesn't work. It doesn't continue to work.
Right.
So yeah, it does go a little bit more about your content. It changes the content that you share when you talk about yourself and the personal part. But when it comes to the work bucket, it's going to be very, very similar for both types of brands.
Yep. All right. For business and personal brands, business brands have 3 buckets. Personal brands basically have 4. Business brands have a work bucket, a value bucket, and a people bucket. These buckets that we're talking about they're just basically containers of information. You want to make sure you're sharing information about the people behind the business, value, that things that your ideal audience want to know, what's in it for them, and work, what your business is, who you do it for, all the basic questions that we're going to get to here in just a second. Personal brands, again, just like business brands, you have to say what you do, who you do it for, all of those things. You have to provide value, what your ideal client wants to know. What can you do for them through your social media marketing? Think about these as shareable posts, things that they're going to engage with and say, thanks, oh my gosh, I'm going to save this for later. Also, personal brands talk about the person behind the brand. which is different than the people behind the business. And in personal brands, you can talk about your passions. So that's an additional bucket. Today for this class, we are going to focus specifically on work and value buckets. That is all this is about, is how you can talk about your work and how you can provide value to your clients. Business and personal brands, for either one, the work bucket is filled with information that answers these 4 questions. What do you do? Why is it important? Or how are you different? Who do you do it for? And how can people work with you? These are straightforward, very clear, concise, direct information. The other thing about this is that these questions are what you should be answering in not only your Instagram profile, but also
you're in your 30-second commercial when you introduce yourself. So please screenshot this, because these questions are really important, and we're going to be deep diving into that all month long. So
yes. So these 4 questions are super important. You need to answer them on your social media, in your profiles, and in your 30-second commercial. This is a visual way of representing those questions. Work, whatever it is that you do, what you do, why it's important or how you're different, who you do it for, your ideal client, and how can people work with you. So think of it in terms of the bubble map that we talk about so closely when we are talking about
kind of like this.
Yes, exactly right. Like that.
Yes, kind of like this. Your mind map may look like something like this. And these are just a good example of how you can start to answer those questions in detail. And that's how you create a strategy. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it helps you go off on kind of a tangent and think deeper about each one of these topics and how you can say this stuff over and over and over again in a different way, using different media and all that kind of stuff. So here's our business brand example. And of course, in our business brand, we actually have 3 different work buckets, I would say, because we do done for you. We teach through classes. Hello, we're doing that now. And we coach. So we're just going to take this one part of what we do, bespoke, done for you social media marketing, and we're going to answer those 4 questions. We take care of marketing your business online using real content, not canned content. So that's what we do. Who we do it for. Our ideal client is a small business with personality and recognizes that they will be our partner in the content we create. How we're different. If people are, why we're important, either one here. If people don't know about you, they won't buy your stuff. And then whatever you're working on is pointless. Sorry about that. And then how can people work with us? Well, specifically for done for you social media marketing, we start with a what comes next consult. So to answer that question, book a free 30-minute what comes next consult so we can help you get started and answer all of your questions. So that is very direct, straightforward, and clear information. So now it's your turn. We want you to pause, screenshot this, draw it on a piece of paper, and ask yourself these 4 questions in this order. Are you a personal or a business brand? Think about which one you are. What do you do? Put it in the center. But you could also just put work in the middle. Why is it important, or how are you different? Who do you do it for? Who's your ideal client? And how can people work with you? Straightforward and very clear information. So pause and do this little exercise. All right, some examples for you in the wild. This is a business brand, and they are literally answering how they are different. Why choose us? In other words, why choose us over them? That's what's assumed here. Envision Construction is actually one of our clients, and they are different because They have worked in distribution, the installation, the manufacturing side, and the insurance side. So they are a holistic approach to roofing, and they can literally answer all the questions from all 4 angles, which is super unique in this industry. Most people don't have 2, much less all 4 angles. So this fleshes out how they are different.
And everybody has differentiators. That's important for you to understand. You're not selling against your competition. You're just talking about what makes you unique. Every single one of us has something unique about what we do. And if you really sit there and you think, I don't have anything unique about what I do, girl, it's time to create it. We got to create it. We got to work on creating your angle, your niche, your specialty that makes you unique and different.
And just to say, an example of this. So this dough box wood-fired pizza, that is my sister's business brand. And we had a slide in here earlier, and all she does over and over and over again is film the wood-fired pizza oven from Naples that they flew in, because her truck has an actual really expensive, super complex wood-fired oven on it, and they have to heat it up and cool it down in certain ways. That's what makes their pizza different. And all they do is film that fire going, and it's just so clear. But also they're very, very clear about how you can work with, where can you find them? How can you get one of these pizzas? And so they're constantly posting pictures about where they're at and where you can go to get one of these pizzas. So how can you work with us? That's what this looks like on social media.
Makes me so hungry.
I know. You should. Why are we different? This is again Envision Roofing and Construction. I'm not going to click on this, and y'all are going to watch the whole thing, but basically this thing that he's holding right here is a vent, one of those little white things that stick up on your roof and vent things out. He said that most construction companies or roofing companies use a $7 to $8 product. It's white, it's very simple, but it has a short lifespan. And when you're installing a roof that is guaranteed for life or whatever, why would you put a $7 product that's not? And so he's talking about the difference and what this product is and how it will protect you in the future.
What I do love about that is that it takes your bubbles and you're going out. So you're saying, why are we different? Well, you talk about one more little circle of like, we're different in this way. We're different in this way. We're different in this way. And each one of those ways is actually an informative post that you're sharing. So it's like, you're not going to put all that information in one post. You're going to make those several different things to talk about the details. It's like getting deep, 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 and talk about one little thing in each post.
Yep. Tiny topic, inch wide, mile deep. This is a personal brand, Lori McCagran. On Instagram, she's Lori McMortgage. And what do you do? She literally is answering that question in this video. She's helping her friend celebrate by closing on her first home. And so she describes what it is that she does and who she does it for in this video.
And what I think is so unique about Lori is that she's done a really good job of branding herself as she literally calls herself Lori McMortgage. So she could change companies if she wanted to. She does actually several different things under that umbrella, but she is the personal brand. And so it's even more important for her to constantly be sharing, what is it that I do?
Yeah.
Something she's got to educate a lot on her page.
Mm-hmm. This is a friend of ours, Julie, and also a client. She is a personal brand. She sells health insurance, but again, she can go to any health insurance company and she'll still be Julie Sears. And how can you work with me? Did you know that having the right health insurance coverage can make all the difference in the world? Contact me today or book an appointment.
Pretty clear call to action. This is how you can work with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Notice the examples aren't that different from each other. Whether you are a personal or a business brand, your work bucket is straightforward information. You see people in both examples. I personally, we know from our experience and wisdom that people showing your face, face to camera, those examples get more traction than graphic e-posts and things like that. But there are places, times and places for both kind.
You know, and thinking about like to the last class where we taught the EIEIO, really think about this as being your I information type of post. Like you're giving them information, and maybe even sometimes in the O, in the offer, where you're explaining what is your next step. So do this action, and then you can work with me. Yeah. So think about the I and the O. That's really what we're doing here today.
So business and personal brands also have a value bucket. And that's filled with information that would interest your target audience. Of course, what you do, who you do it for, how to work with you, that interests your target audience, but it's not necessarily shareable posts that are like real engaging or anything. Value buckets solve problems for your clients. They're inspirational. They inspire them to action. They teach them something new, a new skill. And oftentimes we see brands going live, answering the frequently asked questions they get from their clients. So instead of having to call you and ask these questions, they can click through your stories or your feed and find this information readily available. So your value basically answers what's in it for me. So when your clients come to your page, they want to see what they're going to get out of it. And so you're providing value to them, something that they find valuable, like a new skill, going live, answering those frequently asked questions that they're just wondering about and they don't know the answers to. You're inspiring them, you're solving their problems.
I like to think about it like this. This is just a really good visual for me. When you're thinking about talking about your business, you're talking about it from your perspective. Like you're sharing your information, you're sharing how people can work with you, what you do, what you offer, your packages, whatever. Super important to have that, because you could have an amazing following who doesn't really know how to engage with you. I've often shared it like, I have this really great friend who she's a stylist, and she shares a lot of good value, which we're going to talk about, but she doesn't necessarily tell people how they can work with her. You have to really dig for that information. Whereas if she would share it more often, I bet you she'd convert more people to clients. Okay, that is more about the business brand. But when we are talking about value, think about now going to the other side of it. So you're going to shift your filter. Okay. So now you're thinking about the value part is, what can I share? I'm an expert. I know my industry super well. What does my audience want to know from me as an expert? What can I give them, teach them, educate them on, inspire them about? From my perspective, what do they want? So it's almost like looking at it now from their point of view. Okay. Like, what do they want to know from me? What do they want to know from a realtor? What do they want to know from a hairstylist, a makeup artist, whatever? What can I share that's valuable to them? So it's just like a
shift for sure. So again, we in the middle, bespoke, done for you social media marketing. But now how do we provide value? We answered the all those questions with the business. Now, how do we shift that lens to what our clients want? Well, we have an example that's 3 different sound effects on Instagram. We literally teach them about 3 different sound effects that they can use on their reels that will just provide some little pizzazz to their reels that they maybe didn't know before. We might need to give them tips on the new Instagram updates. So if we notice that there are new Instagram updates, which happen, every 34 seconds, then maybe we need to address those to take the mystery out of them for our clients. Small business quotes about stick-to-itiveness. Consistency online is huge. And so therefore, keeping our clients going is also huge, because if they quit, then their consistency falls off. So that's something that our clients need, that little swift kick in the butt, in order to keep going. So if we have quotes about that, we're solving that problem. And then, should I hire a social media manager? We get that question a lot, or a lot of our clients ask themselves that question a lot. So we're just going to address it. And Angelin does a great job addressing that in a post on our Instagram. So now it's your turn. We want you to think about your value bucket and ask yourself these 4 questions in order. Who is your target audience? Now, what would inspire them? What skills should they need or would they want to know? What are some of their frequently asked questions, and what problems can you solve again or teach them? And then just pause this and
I want to add one thing too. When you're thinking about this, what we have a tendency to do is think, oh, I mean, I could talk about that, but everybody knows that. Well, if you hear yourself saying that, pause right there and do that one, whatever that is, because what you think is the most simple, basic stuff that you know, just like off the top of your head, that's actually what you should be talking about. You're an expert, they are not. That is where you can add real value. So when you find yourself asking you that or saying, oh, that's too simple, that's exactly where you should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, okay, go back to my furniture painting days of, 2013. When you would go into one of these flea markets or whatever, and you would see some lady that's painted a dresser and then scuffed it all up. It's like she just learned how to distress furniture and she's going to do it all the way, right? She's got to show everyone that she has learned how to use sandpaper. When you are able to keep it simple and subtle, that shows a degree of professionalism that you understand your audience. And so when you overcomplicate it or overdo it, it seems a little desperate, overreaching, obnoxious. And so if you just use all these big words and whatever, it just looks like you're trying to sound smart. And so I think that the psychology behind keeping it simple actually makes you look brilliant because nobody else is doing it. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, love it.
All right. So business brand, teach them a skill. This is that one that we did where we literally taught people how to use 3 different sound effects, one tiny little feature inside of Instagram. And what I want you to notice here is this one. I don't know how many thousands of whatever.
16,000.
Okay. 16,000 views. We have 700 followers, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Is that's great. But my point is when you teach a skill, it goes way beyond your existing followers. Your reach is just like compounded exponentially. And these 3 little simple things, 184 people clicked like. And a lot of people saved this. There was like hundreds of people that saved this post. That's huge. So
teaching a skill is the best way to go viral. I mean, not that everything's guaranteed. Some of ours where we teach a skill, they don't go viral, but sometimes they do. And that's where we find the most traction, and you will gain new followers if you teach often.
Yep. Amen. This is an inspiration example. Very, very simple. Every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. And that is so poignant for our audience because we're constantly saying we need to speak to our ideal audience. We're constantly trying to align to that. And they see our personal brands or our business brand and say, oh, well, you've got so many posts and you've done this for so long and you teach this, you must be experts or whatever. But it's just about starting. Our first post was in September of 2022 and we are in June of 2023. And it was just because one action is a vote for who we were going to become in June. We started in September and now here we are in June, and wherever we're going to be next June, we're just going to keep going and see where it takes us. So that resonates with our audience. And so it inspires them to take action.
And an inspiration can be a story or anything like that. So it doesn't have to just be a quote. It could be a story. It could be a meme where then you have a message. It can be all kinds of things.
Yep. And so just to recap this wonderful class, don't forget your work and value buckets on your feed. Go to your feed, look at it, see what you're missing. You're probably missing a work or a value, or you're not saying it enough. You're not repeating yourself. Work bucket is filled with straightforward information that answers these 4 questions. What do you do? Why is it important? How are you different? Who do you do it for? How people can work with you. Your value bucket is filled with information that would interest your target audience. What does my audience want to know from me? What can I give them? Solve their problems, be inspirational, teach a skill, go live, answering frequently asked questions.
It's we talk so much about being balanced and how you've got to have all the buckets in order to be truly successful. And after doing now several social audits, like Brooklyn was saying, where we're working with people in a coaching capacity, 100% of the time, we always see that the buckets are out of alignment. Either people they're being too personal, or they're not being personal enough, or they're talking about their work, but they're not offering value, or they're offering so much value and they're not talking about their work. So this 100% of the time, when people have a problem and they come to us and they pay us money to actually help them solve their problems, we come back to this kind of filter. So you can teach yourself how to do this and do it better and create that well-rounded strategy that will actually convert clients for you.
Yep. Amen. Couldn't say it better than that. So that concludes this class. Please tell us on social your best or biggest takeaway from this class, and we'll see you on the next one.